So the name of some of the companies we've been working with are Boeing, OSR Enterprises, Aris, Goldman Sachs, IBM, Bosch, Continental, BMW, RiskBlock Alliance, Honda, Diamante, Transdev, U.S. Air Force, Royal Bank of Canada, GM, Locomotion, Car Auction Services, Verdigris, Voyant, Daimler, NASA, Intertrust, Embraer, StackPath, SAP, Factual, National Institute of Science and Technology, or NIST, NetSol, AccessSec, I always say that one wrong, Caruso, Uber, Stripe, WiseKey, Lynx, SSH, Advance, Uptake, they just keep going. So with that, being a board of advisor basically means that I'm on this board with other great companies such as Nike, Intel, Moda Health, Ethereum's Consensus is a part of it, Smith & Crown, which is a big research lab, Strongblock. There's a bunch of names that are part of this group. We call ourselves the Fellowship of the Ledger. And it's really about us coming together to enable one another to uncover ways to accelerate business, new opportunities for students that are part of the blockchain certificate program, which is the first of its kind in the entire world, an accredited blockchain business program, for us to find not only ways to drive jobs in this sector, but to me, what is more important is to drive legislation. So,
hey everybody, it's Ben and Jacob. We're at the Jackson Hole Technology Summit. It's kind of a full house.
The Wyoming governor over there, we were talking to him last night. He's a big proponent of making the laws super blockchain friendly to host companies and investors here. Pretty interesting. It's supposed to be the #1 blockchain state in the U.S.
And it seems like the majority of conversations have been around blockchain, and people are very excited about it, and they're trying to demystify it. So wish us luck.
Fort Worth, or wherever you're from. Where are you from? Indiana.
Use cases we've talked about, zeroing in on our major use case that we like to reiterate all the time, is the United States Air Force. And what we're working with them is transmitting classified information over unclassified information networks. One of the big things that they're focused on is anti-spoofing mechanisms across big data. The U.S. Air Force produces 2,000 terabytes of data every second, like an astronomical amount of data that we can't really even comprehend. And they're trying to think of, how do we organize it? How do we clean it? How do we protect it? And how do we make it interoperable so that we make really quick data-driven decisions, whether it's in the field and being able to connect, airplanes with soldiers, will help us save lives across military as well as civilians and being more accurate. And we already have a letter of support. Working with the government for three months now, we've already got a letter of support from the AOC, the Air Operations Center, which is really responsible for mobility as it pertains to the DoD, not just the Air Force. So this is very big. They've already validated what we're doing, and they provided a stamp of approval, which allows us to go to other divisions in the DoD and talk to them freely that there has been some sort of peer validation.
We have a letter of support directly from a group called Air Mobility Command, or Air Operations Center. Again, this is the group out on Scott Air Force Base in Illinois that is responsible for corralling all the mobility data of all the operators in the world and putting it in a mission control type format. So going to multi-domain and command and control, we really landed in the belly of the beast. This is who we went and visited with. We've got strong relationships with these folks, and they were kind enough in a short amount of time to put down on paper their intentions of scaling their working relationship with us. So this is a big deal for us. This is confirmation that you just don't see in the blockchain space. It's one thing for us to fill out a proposal and get in the door. It's another thing to really build relationships with folks that are on the ground level doing this stuff. They get it, they endorse it, and they want to scale with us.
For this was a huge shift in the kind of mainstream adoption of blockchain and the overall sentiment coming from this organization that this isn't simply just a research. The intention of the United States Air Force to write this letter is so that we can walk into other branches of the military with extra confidence that this has been validated. Our technology has been validated. It has been looked over. There's a stamp of approval so that we can move other conversations in the military and DoD a lot faster.
We were an SBIR 19.2 Phase 1 contract awardee. This means that we've got carte blanche within the DoD moving forward. So we can work with the DoD in a lot of different capacities. The SBIR program operates across 12 different agencies within the DoD. So it's not specific to the Air Force. It also includes the NSA, NASA, Army, Navy, and so forth. As I said, there's 12 of them. And so we were really, really proud to be one of 2 blockchains to ever be selected by the DoD under a contract. Big props to these guys. They're ex-military folks, both of them, as you can see from their bullets over here, which I'm not going to.
Here we are.
Hey community, how you guys doing? We just finished a long day at Scott Air Force Base. It's been incredible, mind-blowing how impactful our technology can be.
Yeah, it was crazy conversations. Honestly, I had no idea that I would ever be doing this in my life, but to see their excitement around what Constellation is bringing to the table was super awesome.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and we've learned a lot about acronyms and how to secure mission critical data and all the applications for our network. It's been a blast.
So while we can't share all the use cases that we talked about because it's all classified, it's pretty impactful.
Big things are coming. I'm not sure if you can see, there might be some airplanes in the background there. I swear, we're actually here. So yeah, have a great day, guys.
Briefly about Constellation. So Constellation kind of took what was going on with Bitcoin as like the first integration of blockchain, or first utilization of blockchain, and then you had an evolution of Ethereum working with smart contracts, which allowed for homogeneous, very simple data sets to be executed in a decentralized way and actually not rely on trust, but actually create some sort of trustless application. And what Constellation kind of thought is that for us for developers to actually use distributed ledger technology, there needs to be application support. There needs to be developer tools, which I've heard Gilbert talk about, is about compatibility. How do we make solutions that are compatible to existing data management solutions that developers are currently using? So Constellation actually created a secure communications protocol. And it's very simply put, we add security to data pipelines or the source of data where it's created. So a lot of what Constellation is focused on is securing streaming data processes. You think about all the data that Twitter produces every second. Well, how do you secure that? How do you put that on a distributed ledger technology? You have to rethink the entire architecture. And so we are building out a network that's hosted by node operators that receive rewards for validating data. We have a very active community, and we've rethought our consensus model so that it's compatible with existing data management stacks.
And you've announced today that you're going to be working with Quant Network, so perhaps you can tell us a bit about that partnership.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. So we've been talking for the last few months. We see a great collaboration between the two technologies. What blockchain needs is big data, and what big data needs is blockchain. And by working together, what we've come up with is a way where we can actually decentralize properly, but allow, as Ben was saying, government and enterprise to safely interconnect big data sources to a decentralized world, but have interoperability. Because if you're using let's just say imaging data from healthcare in one blockchain and then using an
Hey communities, it's Ben.
Hi, it's Gilbert.
And we're here at Quantex, and we just got done talking about big data. And what was kind of the major takeaway?
And we announced the partnership and talk about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Today, and we're very excited on all the prospects of what we're going to do together, and combining technologies. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, IoT, big data, interoperability.
Yep.
Take it easy, y'all. Bye.
And so I think like blockchain technology is something in the middleware where you can explore a different kind of industry, different kind of mixture with different kind of, I think, services. That's, I think, ultimately what you're going to see. And I think what I was excited was like your vision, Constellation's visions and technology, trying to solve those kind of problems with the futuristic vision. That's what I loved.
Well, great, thank you. I mean, for the and incorporating scale.
Our technology into existing technology and data management stacks, and plug external data streaming onto a decentralized network. And what's fascinating about the Chainlink partnership is they provide smart contract support. And because they're creating inroads with external data, what a great partnership to have somebody that already understands external data sets with regards to smart contracts. Adoption of our technology. So StackPath was a fascinating partnership with us because it takes on this concept of one-to-many, meaning we go after one client and that opens the doors up to potentially several clients. So with StackPath, they have hundreds of clients that are already using their cloud infrastructure services to power edge computing use cases, which is really right in our wheelhouse. So with StackPath, we're bringing on we're kind of making it an easy on-ramp for our node operators. So our foundational nodes will have a price discount when they work with StackPath. Pricing is more affordable, and we'll be providing a containerized solution going forward. So we want this whole path of onboarding nodes to be a professional experience that hasn't been seen in the entire crypto space for mainnets, and providing that branded experience and those kind of little levers will just make it a better experience overall. And so that's the first way we get started in working with StackPath, bringing our network to them and showing kind of the power of the Constellation community and what they bring forth. And then from there, we start to expand on our various use cases. And then also we've already started talking with their company and what are their clients looking for and what are those needs. So
I went on to London, and in London, the second conference was a small states conference, but don't get distracted by the title. So that conference has been organized by WilmerHale, which is one of the most prominent law firms for international litigation and arbitration. So the level of people that has attended was pretty staggering. So we had representatives of the United Nations there. There were state representatives, the Office of the Commonwealth, a slew of professors from Yale to Stanford and others, a Sir, at least one, and a couple of other high-ranking people like diplomats, and of course dozens and dozens of lawyers. Being the only technology firm, I represented Constellation, and I delivered a very novel concept in a very powerful circle of people. And the concept was about how could we leverage a technology like Constellation in relation to climate justice lawsuits. And these lawsuits are notoriously expensive, and it's about balance of power and the data that goes into these lawsuits. And we came up with an idea how we could supply better data into these climate justice cases. And I presented that idea for the first time to that community. And people were pretty open and pretty excited about what I had to say and to present. And I definitely made a couple of very nice connections, and we'll see into which direction we can develop that further. So that said, both conferences were tremendously successful, not only from the content that I was able to absorb, but also through all the connections and all the excitement that I've experienced presenting Constellation in an area where we haven't presented in the past. And I think that allows us to really open a lot of new opportunities to new people and new circles of people that are actually being able or possibly being able to use our technology in the future. So I'm always a little cautious or shy talking into echo chambers, which is happening a lot in the crypto space, you know, the conference circus, and you go to W blah, blah.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, you look at where the dollar was pegged to the gold standard, and then we evolved out of that and tied ourselves to a barrel of oil. And now what you have in the markets that happened less than 10 years ago are that the largest companies in the world are now monetizing data. And they've figured out how to successfully monetize data.
Yeah.
And so what we believe is that there's a new coming where you're able to secure and validate that data and sell data in a new capacity, not just for centralized companies like Facebook and Google, but to open up that possibility to a myriad of people and companies that can transfer, trade, sell their own data in some capacity.
Yeah, pretty much like everything about, you know, like our modern, like, you know, tech world is based on user data and finding a way to monetize on that. And so, you know, sort of the promise of blockchain technology is the ability to like audit and have some kind of control over that information. And it works both ways. I mean, one, it sort of removes like middlemen and trying to, you know, attribute value to both products and infrastructure and tools and stuff, but it also gives people the ability to sort of like, you know, define how they want to interact with this technology in a way that, you know, we typically sign those things away within terms and agreements in 2 seconds, right? So I think it's going to be a really cool new shift of all of us sort of taking ownership over, you know, ourselves, our rights, and, you know, also finding a new way to create value and work together.
You know, being an old fart, okay, what I'd like them to do is just get the data right.
These 4 pillars become our pillars of business. The first pillar is academia. This is where we get peer validation. We're working with Portland State University. Benjamin Diggle sits on the board. We're also working with a group called Mousebelt University, which is an aggregation of various universities that are all dedicated to providing research and solutions around blockchain. So that's our peer validation. On the business side, working into the public sector, really the use case there is security. So addressing threat vectors, working with the United States Air Force and the broader DoD around multi-domain command and control use cases. So moving certified data across or certified or classified data over unclassified open networks, and working with Decisive Point as trusted advisors, kind of helping us navigate the entire DoD. And as we move into our third pillar, the private sector, this is more opportunity and future-based. You know, the opportunity of autonomous vehicles sharing cars or data marketplaces existing. We're still looking at the forefront of monetary opportunities to upsell clients, very different than the public sector. And the fourth pillar, which is very important to us, is being able to work with projects that are also leading that third generation blockchain. These are emerging platforms and focused on innovation, being a part of Hyperledger, Quant. We wrote a very detailed paper articulating our ambitions in working with Quant. We also wrote a very detailed paper working with Chainlink, and these are all kind of helping us navigate the blockchain industry and working with key decision makers in private markets around blockchain solutions.